Hello and welcome to another installment of Metallic Reviews, the show where I take an honest look at the harder, heavier side of music and give it an honest rating. You might notice that I am a little bit different today. I'm in Florida getting ready to attend some spring training games with a good friend of mine. And yeah, we're having a really good time so far, but that doesn't mean we stop rolling here on the old Metallic Reviews train. And today we're going to be taking a drastic turn away from the pretty thunderous, proggy Norwegian metal that we've been covering lately to the inner bowels of the American deathcore scene. And by inner bowels, I do mean inner bowels. These guys, yeah, they can put out some pretty bad stuff. It seems that absolutely nothing makes these guys happy, except for apparently girls named Doris, endless bouts of extreme existential nihilism placated by profanity-laced tirades, and dropping the equivalent of musical bricks onto their listeners. Yes, it's scene legends Suicide Silence and their newest release, Remember, You Must Die, out March 10th on Century Media. This is their first LP since re-signing to the German giant, and their first since the Black Crown back in 2011. So how'd they do on their first effort with their old/new label? Let's jump right in and see. First off, this is unquestionably Suicide Silence. From the lyrics, to the songwriting, to the production, there are no surprises on this record. This is deathcore at its most raw, pushing boundaries in terms of music and words to create an atmosphere that suffocates the life out of the listener. In stark contrast to the similarly crafted atmospheres of other subgenres like black metal or death metal that are slow and methodical in their deconstruction of musical stereotypes, Suicide Silence just take a friggin' axe to the whole thing. This is like what would happen if you gave Clinical Insanity its own composer and told him to go read all the collected works of Nietzsche and Sartre. Just self-loathing and decomposition back down to the most singular grain, and then rebuilding from there in order to attempt to accomplish something bigger than oneself. Operative word there, attempt. Is that complex enough for you? Good, because the music on this album isn't complex at all. This is as bare bones as deathcore gets, and oddly enough, I'm sort of here for it, kind of here for it. Some of it's actually kind of good. The riffs on here aren't going to inspire inner virtuosic YouTube covers, but they will inspire mosh pits the world over. I foresee a lot of hardcore dancing and ferocious pummeling, especially in Europe, where they're very famous for that sort of thing. Anyway, this is an excellent album for fans of spiraling in endless circles and sweating among packs of the tattooed and the reckless. Me, I'm not that guy. I'm just going to come out and say it. I'm not quite that guy, but that doesn't mean that this style of music doesn't have its place among the wider metal pantheon. I believe it does, and Suicide Silence have unlocked its deepest, rawest, sickest, most slime-ridden areas, especially on this album. That said, as good as some of the stuff is, it can get really repetitive. Like, really repetitive. Like, just, ugh. Black on top of white on top of black on top of white. That's how repetitive it is. You know, this is one of those lather, rinse, repeat styles of record that knows what its audience is and speaks to them and them only. It's definitely not going to woo any new fans. In fact, I'd go so far as to say that it won't woo any fans from other deathcore projects either. Fans of the more musically profound Whitechapel or the more orchestrally chaotic Lorna Shore probably won't come invading the Suicide Silence world. This is deathcore for Suicide Silence fans, plain and simple. It's Eddie Hermida at the front of the mix leading the charge. It's that chugging, brutal, chastise the world style that fans of this group absolutely feed on. So it's a really niche album. Big deal. There are other niche albums that are extremely good. This isn't quite one of them. It's just not. It's not a bad album, but it's just a bit of a slog to get through, and a lot of the lyrics are really stupid. They're like ridiculously asinine. I mean, one of the lines is literally, "Who am I to argue with dummies?" Yep, that's the line. Metal line of the year right there, folks. A lot of this reads like an angsty high schooler's journal, and I know that that encompasses a lot of what this style of deathcore is about, but it just grates a little bit. And when it doesn't grate, it's unintentionally hilarious. Just comparing this with a lot of the well-thought-out, interesting, folk and history-laden lyrics of our last two reviews proves a lot. Sometimes it's better to show lyrical restraint instead of letting it all hang out. But overall, Suicide Silence's newest album isn't all that bad. It's not all that good, but it's not all that bad. A lot of it is cut and dry, and a lot of it is lather, rinse, and repeat. In terms of music, I've heard worse this year. It's not going to be my album of the year, but it is a solid listen for fans of this kind of thing. In terms of lyrics, yeah, I can write better lyrics than this with 2 arms tied behind my back. Sometimes giving clinical insanity its own composer and free reign over the treble and bass clefs just doesn't work. This is an example of that. The hilariously titled Remember You Must Die gets a solid, unspectacular 3.5 out of 5. Thanks so much for watching. Click like, and please don't forget to subscribe for more Metallic reviews, trying to bump that sub count up over 50. Next week, we're sticking with deathcore. Last year, we dove through part 1 of a Chelsea Grin double album. That was titled Suffer in Hell. Now we get to the second part, which is, rather appropriately, Suffer in Heaven. That is next week here on Metallic Reviews, and I hope you'll join me. You've been watching Metallic Reviews, where I give honest ratings to honest music. I will see you guys next time.